What is up, guys? This is my final regional predictions of all 16, and today I'm going to be talking about the Morgantown Regional. Of course, West Virginia is hosting one of my favorite teams to watch in the country this year. A couple other interesting teams as well. We have Wake Forest, a solid team in the ACC, Kentucky, a solid team in the SEC, and then Binghamton, a team who is pretty good at the mid-major level. So many interesting teams from different areas. I can't wait to talk about this regional. Now, of course, I'll start with West Virginia, who finished the year at 39 and 14, 21 and 9 in the Big 12, which is really, really impressive. Of course, kind of that iconic win was when they went to Kansas and took all three from them, a team that's ranked one spot higher after they did get their revenge in the Big 12 tournament championship. West Virginia is also taking down Arizona State in a series, which is pretty big, a team who's a three seed, I believe, in this year's tournament. They did get a couple losses though. They lost to Cincinnati, who's pretty solid. They lost to UCF, who's pretty solid, but no losses that are embarrassing or really anything close to that. They also have been really hot kind of at the end of this year. Defense has been really stellar. But yeah, it was basically up until the conference championship that I felt really, really good about this West Virginia team. But then in that final game against Kansas, they had so many guys on base, couldn't figure things out, and unfortunately the Mountaineers fell in the conference championship game. When it comes to their roster, of course, they have Gavin Kelly, who's one of the top players in the entire country, done an amazing job leading the team this year, even as kind of a young guy still. Max Yell is their ace, who's also done a really good job at holding this defense together. Next up is the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, a fan favorite across the entire country due to their social media page, which is pretty good. Shout out to the person who runs that. But throughout the year, they're 38 and 19. They've gone 16 and 14 in ACC play. Been pretty solid, to be honest. Haven't done anything that's like super good. Haven't been terrible. I'm pretty neutral on Wake Forest, to be honest. They beat NC State, which is a decent series win. They also split with Coastal, which is pretty good, especially it was earlier in the year, I believe, when Coastal was a little bit better. So shout out to them for getting that win. But the reality is, Wake Forest hasn't gotten any iconic wins or really anything close to that. They've also lost to Florida State, Virginia, Miami, and Georgia Tech this year. I'm not gonna lie, like none of those are really bad series losses. But the reality is when you can't beat a single one of them, it's not great. I will say though, Wake Forest was coming into the conference tournament or right before with 10 straight wins, but sorry, ended the year on two bad losses, which just kind of shows are they hot? Are they cold? I don't really know. But regardless, I mean, if you're not able to beat any good teams, it's kind of hard to be in too much consideration for this regional. I will say though, they do have a good roster. They do have Luke Costello and Dalton Wentz who have 17 home runs each, and they do have Chris Lavonis who has 110 strikeouts this year and 10 wins, which is definitely one of the nation's best. Next up is the Kentucky Wildcats, who went 31 and 21 on the year, 13 and 17 in the SEC. Now, I will say they've beaten some pretty good mid majors, but they've had a terrible second half of the year, and they're really cold as of now. Their series wins against Alabama is really interesting. Tennessee, pretty solid as well. That's a rivalry win. But they've also lost a couple bad ones. Ole Miss is not too bad. Auburn, it's whatever. Florida, whatever. Arkansas, whatever. Those aren't really bad, but losing to Vanderbilt and LSU are some really bad series losses. And unfortunately, Kentucky, I think, kind of had a chance to be interesting in this regional, especially with Wake Forest, who I don't think is super strong. But I'm not going to lie, I don't think they really have enough. They do have a little juice with Ethan Hindle and Jackson Jelkin that are some of their best batters. But unfortunately, I don't think it's enough to really compete with some of the top teams, which is basically just West Virginia. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of disappointed in Binghamton. 31 and 20 on the year, pretty good. 17 and 7 in their conference. Love it. They've been really hot in the second half of the year. They had a moment in the year where they won 11 straight, which shows like could they kind of make a run in this regional and maybe even in the super regional? I don't know. But unfortunately, they've been pretty disappointing. They haven't beaten anybody all year. Haven't gotten any good wins. They lost a series to Dallas Baptist, to High Point, to William and Mary, to Bryant, to Longwood, and to Maine. I wanted to pick Binghamton. It's the perfect opportunity for a four seed to maybe not win the regional, but at least compete over Wake Forest and Kentucky. They don't do it for me, unfortunately. It's It's sad. I mean, I really wanted to pick them. I think most of the four seeds in this situation would actually compete really well. But I think this is a pretty weak regional, just kind of top to bottom. So, yeah, unfortunately, Binghamton is not going to end up winning it. So, if you couldn't tell from before, I'm going to pick West Virginia to win this regional. The fact that they get to play this one at home is a huge advantage. It's such a cool moment for these Mountaineers fans, and I think they're by far the best team. They have the best players. Just overall, they've proven so much more throughout the year. They have the best wins. They're hot. I mean, they've done everything to kind of prove themselves at this moment, especially now in the year. I'm gonna put Wake Forest at second, but I can really see any of these teams getting second. I honestly think none of them are gonna play super well, but shoot, we'll see. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And this was my final regional, but thank you guys so much for listening to every single one if you guys did. And if not, make sure to check some more out. I can't wait for this college baseball season. Friday is going to be an awesome day.